Hey, Intro to 2D. Today we are going to do some practicing on selection tools. So I already have an image pulled up and you guys are going to be using that same image to practice with today. One thing that I want you to notice is down here on the bottom right in your layers palette, notice that it says background layer and it has a lock. You don't want to edit your background layer. You want to make a duplicate. So I'm going to right click, duplicate layer. Okay, and so remember that on your layer, you have to have selected the layer that you actually want to work on, but I never edit the background. Okay, we are going to practice using selection tools today. This is going to be really important. It's basically like how you can cut out pictures for your surrealism design, okay? And I want to encourage you to use the right tool for the right job. Now up here we have a couple of different selection tools we're going to use. And remember that anytime you see the little triangle in the bottom right hand corner, that means that they're hidden tools. And also if you hover over it, it will tell you what that is. So right now we are going to practice using the quick selection tool. Okay, notice that it's giving me a little circle, and up here right now it has a minus sign, or else I can make it a positive. That means it's either you're selecting things to include or selecting things to subtract. And as all of our brushes, you can change the size, the hardness, and the spacing. You really want to become familiar with some of the shortcuts because it's a lot easier and quicker to work. So right now, in terms of changing the brush size, I want you to look at your keyboard. On the right hand side of your keyboard next to the letter P, there are your bracket signs, and I'm making my brush bigger and smaller by pressing either the right bracket to make it bigger or the left bracket to make it smaller. Okay, so that's going to be a shortcut that you want to be able to use. And also Control plus or minus to zoom in and out, because you want to make sure that you can see the very edges that you are working with. Then of course the move tool, you can kind of move your image around just a little bit like that. Okay, and of course my favorite is Control Alt Z, which undoes the last step. You can also do just edit step backward. Okay, but that's like the undo button to get rid of whatever you've done. So I'm gonna get out of here just a little bit so I can see my overall flower. So the quick selection tool, you can either try some things just cutting the actual object out or the background out. For this, I'm just going to show you what it looks like to cut out the actual object. Okay, so I'm going to press my select button, and right now I'm just dragging the cursor around, or I can click each individual part. But you can see it kind of clings to the nearest pixel. Okay, so at this point I could do an edit cut. I'm going to turn this off so you can see it actually cut out my flower, and then I could do a Control V and paste it, you know, and now I have an image that's cut out. The reason you select is you're telling what parts of the image that you want to keep and what parts you want to subtract. I'm going to go ahead and Control Alt Z and undo that, my last couple of steps. Control D is to deselect. So you see I got rid of my marching ants. So using the quick select tool is one way that you could select something. I'm going to show you also another way. Something like this image where it's a very high contrast image and it's really easy to set apart from its background. You can also use the magic wand tool. And shazam, I selected that whole background. Now, right now, the background is selected. Okay, so I could literally do an edit cut and cut out the background. Okay, I'm gonna undo that, Control Alt Z, or I could do select inverse, and now it is selecting the perimeter of my flower. I'm gonna do a Control X, which is cut. Okay, and Control V is paste. Same as Microsoft Word. Control X is cut, Control V is paste, Control C is copy. Okay, so you can see I've cut out my flower. So that is a really, really easy tool. Okay, The other thing that you might want to use is your lasso tool. Okay, there's a couple of different ones here. There's the lasso tool, polygonal lasso, and magnetic lasso. The lasso, it would be good for very irregular shapes. This one is kind of harder to control because of that. So basically you would start on a point and kind of trace around, but you can see it's very hard to control. I'm not exactly getting on all of the edges. I'm going to just end there. Okay, Control D is deselect. That one is really, really hard. I don't use that one very much at all. The magnetic lasso, however, will, it's like a magnet. It will cling to the nearest pixel. So you can see how it's kind of wrapping around. Okay. And it's just clinging to the nearest pixel like a magnet. Okay. This one is a lot easier to use, I think, for an organic shape. But you can see it's taking a long time to do that. I'll go ahead and close the shape. Okay. It's taking a long time to do that. I can Control X. I've gotten rid of that piece. So you might be trying to delete a piece or add just one tiny detail. That would be good to use. Control D, deselect. So you can already tell for this particular image, because of the contrast, the magic wand tool is probably the better option for you. I'm going to actually show you a different picture with the polygonal lasso. Okay, this one is really good for hard edged shapes. You can see once you've clicked a point, it will draw a straight line. So anything that you would have that is a really rigid shape, I would suggest using the polygonal lasso. And here I'm almost done with my selection. Got it selected. I could, if I wanted to, I could select the inverse here and get rid of, oops, sorry about that. Control X, get rid of the background. Control Alt Z undoes it, and Control D deselect. So polygonal lasso would be a really good one for selecting just a geometric kind of shape.